满意了，我也不会在乎别人说什么。
In that movie, you appeared alongside another star of the time, Edison Chen. What was it like to work with him?
那个漫画里面那个角色。
I always thought he had character. When we were working on the film, I thought the role in the manga was tailor-made for him. He got along quite well with the crew, too. We used to keep in touch after the filming, but not so often these days.
So it sounds like you were friends then. What are your thoughts on the scandal that eventually brought him down?
I would like now to apologize to all the people for all the suffering that has been caused and the problems that have arisen from this. I admit that most of the photos being circulated on the internet were taken by me.
Actually, I was quite shocked by the news, and I didn't know what to say at all. We used to keep in touch right after the filming, but I lost contact with him since our last update. I'm not sure how he's doing right now.
Jake, you're a wealthy, single guy, yet you still live at home with your mum. How come? Jake, you were brought up in a single-parent family, and you're an only child. Was it as lonely as it sounds?
Of course I felt lonely when I was a child. It's always like that for kids in single-parent families. But it's also because of that that I had plenty of free time to do what I liked. It allowed me to practice really hard on my music.
So actually being an only child and being brought up by just one parent worked for you?
Perhaps it's not so good for my mother, but it's good for me.
You started playing the piano at a very early age, about 3 years old. You did have to adhere to a very strict practice schedule, didn't you? And I also read that there were plenty of times where you wanted to just give it up. Why didn't you?
During that time, I was actually under immense pressure. When I saw other kids playing, I felt it was so unfair to me. But then every time I thought about how much money my mother had spent on the piano, I really didn't want to disappoint her. That's why there were a number of times I was really about to give up. But then I just sucked it up and told myself that one day all my hard work would pay off.
How hard did you have to practice?
When I was a kid, I practiced 2 to 3 hours a day.
Every day?
Yes, when I was small, every day. But then it's only when I was small. I stopped practicing after I started releasing my albums.
School and academia were just not your things at all. What was that time in your life like?
I'd say I wasn't an attention-seeking person back in high school, so I got along pretty well with my classmates. Actually, I miss my old school days so much that I decided to make a movie about it. I think campus life is just beautiful.
Your break eventually came at a talent show. Not that you impressed the judges. What happened on that day?
I think there are a lot of talent shows on Taiwan TV. It's not very difficult to stand out. But then 8 years ago, no, maybe 10 years ago, I wasn't the one applying for the show as a contestant. My classmates applied for me. Because, you know, everybody knew I was really into songwriting. So I was like, oh, okay, let's give it a try. But I didn't do it for the sake of getting famous. I never felt comfortable with all this attention ever since I started out in this industry. Because I said I never want to aim to be a pop icon or whatever. My first album was actually a collection of songs that I wrote for other people. And they didn't want those songs, so I sort of recollected them, remixed them, and recorded them on my own. The only aim I had was to be a singer-songwriter, not an idol, because I'm not very good looking. So I think it's luck that brought me out of obscurity. It's the timing, the place, and the people that allowed me to take a step forward.
Jay, you're a wealthy single guy, yet you still live at home with your mum. How come? Doesn't the bachelor life appeal to you, having your own space?
I don't
think I'll move out. My parents divorced when I was a kid, and I made up my mind that even if I get married someday, I'll still live with my mom, so that I can take care of her, keep her company. I've been having this thought for many years. No matter what happens in the future, I'll live with my mom.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Perhaps there's some cultural differences between Chinese and Western people. The Western kids grow up to break away from their families, to become totally independent and make their own lives. But I think Chinese people are very different. We value our roots a lot. No matter how much money you make outside, you still have to go home because we have this duty, this responsibility to take care of our parents. This is the difference I see, at least from what I know.
If you had to name the moment in your career which is your proudest, whether it's music or movies, anything to do with that, what would it be?
The proudest moment? Well, I've had that in a lot of stages. Like after my first concert, I